I wanted to take time out to show you where I stand in my trade today. I want to give a special shout out to Gaydad for enlightening me on the 15-minute chart and seeing a special signal that's there on that momentum divergence tool that he shared, and also some other indicators that I looked at that led me to the decision that I made in my trade today. Also, another special shout out to Luke Sacker, who spent some time educating me on Elliot Waves as well as the Fibonacci retracement tool, and confirming certain points throughout this morning before I entered my trade. So what I looked at this morning, first thing I do in TradingView, let me just get over to TradingView. I'll look at the 1 day starting off. And if you look at the 1 day, clearly you can see, now these are Heikin-Ashi candles, really just there for momentum. If you want to see the actual results, you can just switch it over to candle. So you see here that in the previous day we had an uptrend. Today we had a downtrend. However, though, we're looking at momentum, and the decisions that I make are based on the momentum of price and the tools that come along with it. So now I'll switch this back over to Heikin-Ashi. So I'm looking at this, and I'll look below, and what do you see? A green X. A green X meaning that the divergence has been met, and the VWAP is at the 0 point, or close to the 0 point. And if you look at it, I mean, it just kind of makes sense that, look, over the last 7 days, we've had a decline. It started to narrow out, and we had some movement back up. Yes, yesterday or last night we had a huge dump, from 10.9 all the way down to, I think it was like 10.6. But you're going to expect moves like that. But that's why, if you are trading at 100x, you better have enough in your wallet to make it last up to 5x, I would say. And if you want to know how much that is, just move your slider over to 5x and see how much that's going to be. So in my trade at 100x, I had $176. Now I don't think I can get all the way down to 2x, but I can get down to, I believe, 5x. I'll do 5x here in a second. I'll just switch this over to 10x to see how it impacts everything. So at 10x, I'm using $1,651. And that's 0.15 BTC. Now this puts my liquidation price at $97.50, and I feel pretty comfortable with that, because if you go back and let's just look here, what is the lowest point of this bad baby right here? The lowest point of the drop was 9,500. I mean, really, I could probably 15. I don't have enough margin, because to go down to 5x, I'd have to double this position right here, which I only have 0.138 left in my wallet. So really, that's the lowest I can go. But 97.50 is a pretty hefty drop. It'd have to pass through a lot of different support levels in order to get there. And honestly, if it passed this level, I'm going to take that loss and just, or even hell, if it breaks down halfway into this level, or hits this top part of this section right here, the 10.5, I may end up exiting my position, take a loss, and move on. But I don't think that it will. Why? Because the data is pretty reliable. Let me go back over to the TradingView chart. So again, go into the 1 day. The 4 hour, the 2 hour, it's cool to get a breakdown of how the action's been looking throughout the day. So right here we've got an uptrend, a little bit of downtrend. Now we're going back up. Go to the 2 hour, same thing. It dissects it a little bit more. Here's your expanded 4 hour. You can get a little bit more motion. But when I go down to the decision making, I like to look really at the 1 hour, the 30-minute, the 15-minute. That's it. So, the day tells me overall what's happening for the day. The hour begins to help me identify how the price action is happening within a current but still longer time frame. And if we look at the 1 hour here, you can see that the reds were having their way, got to a point of divergence. And if you don't know what divergence is basically these two moving averages coming together and reversing path. So some people will wait until the next candle before they enter. That's what's suggested anyways. And it's probably a good idea because this can easily turn back down on you in this direction. So on the next candle, you know, it's all, well, I didn't see the red X here yet because in the morning when I was looking at it, what was it, about 7 o'clock? So I'm looking at it right here on the 1 hour, and I'm still seeing a continued downtrend. But right here, when I'm looking at it, say at 8 o'clock in the morning, on the 1 hour, I still see it's going down. But if I go over to the 30-minute, and then I'll look at the 8 o'clock, you can kind of see it diverged a while back, starting to make its way up, but hasn't clearly gotten up to the 0 level yet to give me an added degree of confidence. But if I look at the 15-minute, it breaks that 30-minute down even further. Here I am at 7 o'clock in the morning taking a look at it. At 8 o'clock we get a green X right here. You know, I could have bought right here knowing that, looking back at everything, and let me scale this up a little bit so you can see what I'm looking at here. You see this pink arrow right here? This is basically meaning the reds are having their way. A little bit more, not as much. A little bit more, not as much. So my thought is, after I saw that green X and that this was getting close to 0, that we were gonna, you know, take off soon after that. However, changes can happen. But overall, you know, these patterns seem to stay true to what's happening in the market. But here there was an extra dip. I think right here I got to, I don't know, 50% loss after holding, because I actually longed right around, where did I long? I would say about this 8 o'clock time frame right here. Yeah. So during that time frame, because I was at 100x, but I did scale it down, I was nearly at 100% loss. But I had faith that overall the momentum is being lost. This is probably just one last push before it takes off. But also, if you look back even further, let's look at it from a big picture perspective. Right? So the other day we had a huge pump, right? Another huge pump. We got up to, you know, this almost hit $10,000, and then overnight, boom, there was a sell-off. Thank God, because I was short. And so I closed out of that short, and after looking at the data, I said, okay, well, longs had their way. Well, look, now shorts are having their way, but I'm actually seeing a loss of momentum here. If you draw that arrow that goes up, that's an indication that, you know, you have an opportunity to gain. So then the next question is, okay, well, what price am I going to end up at? How long do I hold this? Well, if you are a if you go strictly off of this chart, right now would be an exit point. Or perhaps when this yellow line crosses down to 0 and this starts to show a decline, that would be your exit point. But for me, I've already been waiting 2 to 3 hours on this trade, so I have faith that, you know, if you also look at this cloud, look at that gray number over here to the right, 45. I don't know if that's a percentage or what, but if you look at the other moves, the really strong moves after really strong decreases, they get to about the 80% to 100% level. Let's see what this got to, this huge pump. That got to 93. Here's another decent pump. That got to 76. So anywhere between 75 to 90, in my opinion, would be a good area where I start to say, okay, momentum is at its strongest. This thing's going to turn around. Take your profits and move on. So that's how I decided to make my entry. And so where are we now in the trade? Let's take a look. Okay. All right, I just took this down to 10x. I'm going to go ahead and just drop this back up so we can see. Okay, so 68%, you know, I got to a point where I was at 100% today, and it just kind of got on this little sideways action right here. And when we look at that, I entered in right here. Like I said a while ago, you saw that I took a loss, but you know what I did? I just got out of here and said, I'm not going to look at this, because I could have easily just sold it after looking at the data and then reacting emotionally, I would have taken 100% loss. So I had to step away, knowing that if I came back, it should follow the trend, follow the momentum. And so I really think these things are just, hell, this could be some big investors or traders that know that there are going to be people who see this trend, but get scared, shake out those weak hands, take your money and take it for the ride up. So that's always a possibility. So sometimes you got to just step away from the computer, as long as you know that what you had set up is you're confident in your plan. Anyway, so where do I see this going now? Real time, going back again to the 1 hour. Let's let this momentum cloud look. We had a golden cross on the positive side, 2 moving averages crossing, showing an upward trend. All right, on the 1 hour, we crossed over at the X over here around 10 o'clock. The clouds still haven't gotten over to the 0 point. We got a lot of room to go up. Look, so I mean that could reach. You see that 10.962 on my Fibonacci retracement tool. Let me try to zoom out so you can see. I know it's kind of hard to see with all this shit I got on the computer, but the Fibonacci retracement tool, if you don't know what it is, you click right here on the, looks like a pitchfork, go down to Fib Retracement. If you click the star, it shows up in your little bar right here, so you don't have to keep going through and selecting it every time. On a short, you put your 1 here at the transition point. So see, I got it at a low point. I'm going to move it right here. If you got the magnet on, it automatically connects to a certain part of that candle. So this is on the highest point before the move. The 0 is on the lowest point at the end of the move. And what this tells you, these are percentages. It says, and if you look over here, you can kind of see where the prices are. A lot of times you'll see retracement goes up to about 50%. And then there's a move down. Then it'll go on to the next level, 0.61 or 62%. You saw it did that. Then it'll go to 0.78. Didn't quite get there, but it could be the next level. And these, again, these numbers that are associated to these levels, it's all based on whatever points on the candles that you choose. But overall, it's a good measure to say, where is this going to land? So my thought is that because it passed through the 0.618, got very close to the 0.78 level, being hopeful, but we could see the 0.886 level today, which is 11.2 from what I have. Could be more, could be less. But either way it goes, even if we got to the same level that it was before, that's 10.9. Let's measure this out. So my entry line to 10.9, that's 2%. At 100x, that's 200%. You know, you do the math. 10x, you're at 20%. Still some good money. But let's get a little hopeful here. Let's say it goes somewhere in between. That's 3.65. I could be making 365% return on my 180 bucks. So, I mean, you do the math, you can figure it out. So let me close that out. So that's where I am right now. I hope that me talking through this helped you understand a little bit about my thought process. Again, special thanks to Gaydad and Luke Sacker and everyone else in the Discord that is helping us learn. I really see this just as a way of me giving back, so that